guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, I believe he's in his early 40s, and he's writing in both looking for help as well as sharing his story, how as a young man, he definitely, like many, had ups and downs with women, but he ultimately decided to focus on his career, building his businesses, and I think when he was in his late 20s, at that moment decided, okay, now's the time I'm going to meet the girl so I can have a wife and family and all that because of pressure from his family. Thought he met the right one, and everything was wonderful until he moved in with her, and that's when he started to see her true colors like overnight. However, as a lot of these things go, guess what? She got pregnant. And at that point then, he felt trapped. And this whole thing is about where things went downhill from that, the lessons there. But fortunately, you're going to see that our guy was smart enough never to marry her, at least officially with the government. However, he has a kid, and she has taken every chance she has been able to do to make things difficult for him with regards to custody. They split custody and things with the boy and all that. And this guy is fighting tooth and nail to get more and more time with the boy, influence with the boy, and eventually full custody. But it's been a big mess. And because he's out in California, I forgot to mention that, he's out in California, it's been very difficult because the judges aren't on his side. So they've been a very good one to go over here, guys, both for sharing his story with lots of warnings for guys out there, as well as looking for help. This is definitely, we need some audience participation today from you guys who have been through divorce and child custody and things like that. And anything you can suggest to help this guy along his path, because he's slowly improving and getting a better deal, but it's taking time. And he really wants his boy to have a happy life, and it ain't with her. So hopefully we can help him out. So definitely, guys, I'll need you to chime in at the end of the story, and we can really help a guy out. So this is definitely an important one to go over here today. It says, Dear SSM, my name is David, not my real name, of course, and I've been a subscriber to your channel for over 2 years. I've been thinking about writing you for some time now and have hesitated until I heard the video about the pilot who wrote about prenups. I live in a blue state, and I tell you, there is no reason whatsoever to get married or cohabitate or be involved in any serious relationship with any women these days. Well, welcome to the club. To quote Mr. Mackey from South Park, I don't trust anything that bleeds for 5 days and doesn't die, nor should any man living in the USA today. My story is from 8 years ago and lasted 4 years. I come from a traditional family. We moved here from Israel when I was 8 years old, and I was always told that I need to get married and have children. There you go. He's been programmed since birth, that mindset. And to be fair, lots of people were programmed in various degrees the same thing. I was constantly fed the blue pill, and everything I looked, whether it was TV shows like Family Matters to my aunts and uncles, I was told to listen to women. A big mistake. Yeah, listen to the woman. Yeah. How's that worked out for guys when they listen to women about relationships, dating, pickup, let her be the leader, let her be the guide? Women want the man to be the leader, to someone they can count on to lead the relationship, blah, blah, blah. And not to mention, women are naturally attracted to men who are leaders themselves on all fronts, not followers. And what happens to those guys that do all that? You all know. This is why you can't rely on TV and movies to give you advice on how to be, and you got to really be careful with who's giving you advice from your family. But certainly take it from men, not women. But as long as the men actually know what in the hell they're talking about. I know they meant well and wanted me to have a fulfilling life, but the reality was far from what I was being told. So here goes my story filled with smackable moments, so I hope your hand is ready. Yeah, it's ready. Both are ready. I met my first serious girl at 17 at a club in 2000. She moved to my city from San Francisco earlier that year and told me she just turned 17, but later on she admitted she was 15. So you're 17 turning 18 and she's 15. That's called jailbait, and not a good idea. So already you can't trust her. I didn't think it was a big deal at the time and simply let it go. Of course, I didn't know any better. Yeah, you just wanted to get some. And if you were 18, hell, maybe some people might say 17 and 15 would be pushing it. After about a year of dating, she broke up with me because her mother told her to, and she lost her virginity to another guy she knew only a short amount of time. Yeah, sure about so you were with her, but you obviously never hooked up. After that, I felt broken because my family always told me, not to mention society, that if a woman breaks up with you, it's because there's something wrong with you, the man. Well, a lot of times Well, let's be fair here. There's a lot of times men do stupid-ass things that cause a girl to break up with them. Either they're acting like jackasses in the sense of being weak, emotional, needy, clingy. I'm sure being around watching those shows you talked about, or your family maybe conditioned you to behave in a certain way that turned the girl off. But it's also, guess what? You have a lot of girls that are a-holes out there. That are selfish, that are disloyal, many negative qualities. So it isn't just the guy. A lot of guys do mess up, but the messing up is usually not something awful. It's just that oftentimes, sadly, they fear losing the relationship, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in behavior they do. Shortly after that, I moved out of my parents' home and started my own business at 19 years old. Wow, that takes balls. I didn't finish high school because I just didn't care anymore. Well, smack, you should at the very least finish high school, for goodness sake. I'd been working with my cousin and my father in their business since I was 14 years old, so I understood how to make money. But I never understood why it felt like a failure when it came to women and relationships until much later on, so I just didn't pursue them anymore. Well, a lot of guys that are very successful in business are terrible with women, and you can look at Rupert Murdoch of News Corp, owns Fox News. That dude, I think, is on his 6th marriage lately, and he's in his 90s. I mean, these guys, they can be brilliant businessmen. They can really kick ass in this world, but when it comes to relationships with women, they're terrible. They're morons. There's a lot out there. And obviously, your family's a background owning businesses, so they rubbed off on you and were good. At least they were good mentors business-wise on how to make money. By the time I was 25, I was on my 3rd business and was doing quite well for myself. I know some people are going to say this is bullshit, but no, it is possible. I started my first business at 22, guys. I have failed sometimes in business until I got it right. I was getting a lot of pressure from my family about settling down, so I decided to pursue a relationship. Smack! No, you should be continuing to pursue excellence in your businesses. There's no rush. Do what you want to do. I know he knows this now in modern times, but going back in the past, I got to point that out. I met my second serious girlfriend at 25 years old, and we dated until she decided to give me a shit test, which I failed miserably. I simply did not understand it at the time, and that broke me again, as it did when I was 17. Most guys don't know that women do shit tests. Most guys don't know they deliberately and say they do and say things on purpose just to see what we're made of, how we're going to respond, that type of thing. I had no idea about that, guys, when I was young. In my 20s, I didn't know that either. After about 6 months of that breakup, I got a client who owned a chain of strip clubs. I'm a general contractor. One day, while I was supposed to meet my client, I saw my recent ex walking into his club. I inquired about her for my client, and he confirmed that she worked there. That really helped me get over her. Hell yeah, you dodged a bullet. At least your ex was hot, but that could be good looking enough to be a stripper. Although I've been to a couple strip clubs, and I've seen a couple that are like, really? Dodged a big one there. So I moved on with my life, not focusing on relationships anymore, and focusing strictly on my career, and had occasional hookups and a couple of friends with benefits. I'm going to read that again. Pay attention, guys. Listen to this. I moved on with my life, not focusing on relationships, ding, 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 and focused strictly on my career, and had occasional hookups and couple friends with benefits. Do you know how he got hookups and friends with benefits? Because he was focusing on his businesses. Women were no longer a priority to him. Chasing relationships was no longer a priority. I bet you some of those friends with benefits and some of those hookups probably wanted to be more, because the guy obviously was indifferent to them because business comes first. No longer chasing relationships. He didn't trust them, didn't care. That's what happens when you're indifferent, don't care. These little details here are important. So when I was 29 years old, I met a wonderful girl, really, who was a couple years older than me. However, she wasn't a member of my religion, so I knew that I couldn't marry her. I'm religious, so it matters. I can confidently say that I was never in love with her, and as I know now, that is why she was good to me. I also made it clear to her that we could never get married, and that broke her, and to this day, I still feel bad about that. Don't feel bad about that. Okay, I'm sure she turned out just fine. You know? And he said, I was never in love with her. That's probably why she was so good to me. Maybe. That was probably your indifferent attitude continuing on from the era when you just had hookups and friends with benefits. Guys, it's always best to be indifferent. And I don't mean being a jerk. It's just that, you know, you have a you're much of a realist to know that relationships can come and go. People come and go out of your lives. You're not going to get too attached. It's the attachments that cause us to screw up royally. And you know the joke about women drivers? I'm here in a parking lot right now, and I just saw this woman driver come around the curb and drove, and instead of going where she's supposed to go in the parking lot here, drove completely over this giant curb of grass, and her little minivan is like bump over there. She's going to walk out of the car like nothing happened. Yep, there she goes. Oop, nothing happened, nothing to see here. Well, I saw you. Anyhow. So we stayed close, and she even took an interest in my religion and let me know that she was willing to convert, but I didn't want her to change who she was for me. She was religious too in her own religion. After about 3 years, she met someone else, and I moved to San Fran for a year to see if I could expand my career. You know a woman's in love with you guys when she's willing to change her religion for you. That says a lot. You know, women that are truly in love with their guys, and I might add, she's in love with him because he wasn't in love with her, and he obviously was indifferent with her. He liked her, but he wasn't in love with her, and he obviously behaved that way. Women that are truly in love with their guy, the guy has not only her heart, but also her mind, her soul. She'll change religions. She'll abandon her family, sadly her kids. She'll move out of the country. Shit, she'll break him out of prison if he's in prison. Right there. So I moved back to San Fran. Although business was good there, I hated living there and found myself constantly coming back to LA to see friends and family. The people in San Francisco are true idiots, and I couldn't connect with any of them. I'm sure there's people that will agree with that statement. Once I moved back to Los Angeles, I decided to treat myself, so I got the car that I always wanted and a house that I always wanted. I then decided to get into a relationship and get serious about starting a family. Okay, here we go. So now he decided, that's it. I've had success in business. I got the car I always wanted, the house. Now I'm going to chase relationships and chase love and marriage. Watch what's going to happen now. Better he stayed indifferent and then had the girls chasing him. I then decided to get in the relationship and get serious about starting a family. I met Deborah, not her real name, shortly after settling into my new life, and she was about 8 years younger than me and lived in San Diego. Okay. You got a younger girl, and that has its pros, but also has its cons. In the beginning, as all the relationships go, it was great. We connected well and had a great time together. It seemed that we were on the same page on major issues, and I only met her father and stepmother at that time. Deborah's mother lived in New Jersey, so I only spoke with her a couple times on the phone. Her father seemed to be a good guy, and her stepmom seemed to be good as well. Okay, everything's great. She's 8 years younger than him. Check. I'm assuming she's good looking. Check. Gets along with her dad and stepmom. Check. Phone conversations with her mom. Check. Okay. What could go wrong? Well, we're in the early stages. This is the honeymoon phase. Not the honeymoon, but the honeymoon phase. And usually this is where guys think, I found the one. But no, you need more time in to see who she really is. Now watch this. As all relationships go, we had lots of sex, and I saw her taking the pill regularly, so protection didn't matter to me at the time, as I saw myself marrying her. Smack! Oh, dear Lord. Is this going to come back to haunt him? Guys, I don't care if you're planning on marrying the girl. Still wear protection. Until that ring is on her finger, in terms of you said your I do's, and you walk down the aisle, or whatever the hell ceremony you do, and then you know all that. But before then, before there's an engagement, before you're actually married, protection. First of all, you never know she's cheating on you, given how things are, giving you something, a little friend, an STI, STD. Don't ever buy she's on the pill, guys, because magically, a lot of them suddenly magically get pregnant. One day, as we were driving back from wine country, she gets a call from her friend from Jersey, telling her she was going to Vegas and invited her to go. She then turned to me and asked if I would mind if she joined her friend. It felt off, but I simply said, I can't tell you what to do, so she agreed, and later on we went. So not much time goes by after you propose to her. I think you said that. No, you didn't say that. You didn't say you proposed to her, but you were obviously getting quite comfortable in the relationship, and she knew it. Now her friend wants to go on a girls thing to Vegas. Guys, if your girl if she's that serious with you, she shouldn't be behaving like a single girl going out to the clubs and partying in Vegas. I don't think she's going to spend her time seeing Celine Dion, whoever the fuck is performing in Vegas and playing the slot machines. I'm sure is clubbing in bars and getting attention and walking around at the pools with a thong up her ass and stuff like that. No. Before we went on the trip to wine country, I read that part. Oh, I did. Before we went on the trip to wine country, she had just moved in with me. Aha. There you go. She got almost absolute certainty by moving in with you, thinking, I got this guy, he ain't going anywhere. Now I want to do the girls trip to Vegas. That's what I meant by the engagement thing. The whole time she was in Vegas, it felt off, and I was upset. She came back with her friend a few days later, and I let her know that I didn't like that she left right for Vegas after moving in with me. That isn't an accident. That's not a coincidence, the timing there. We argued for a few days, and then she put a pregnancy test on the table saying she was pregnant. After her trip to Vegas, I know I'm not the only one thinking that. Holy crap. Moves in with you? Boom. I bet you she told her friend, okay, he's moving. He's letting me move into his house. I got him. Okay, call and invite me to Vegas. The second a girl gets absolute certainty her guy isn't going anywhere or close to that, that's when tests begin. That's when all of a sudden you start seeing more of who she is. Why have her move in? I mean, okay, if you want to test to see, if she could be wife material like the final test, fair enough, but still, remember, you're in California. I was disappointed in myself and began to question everything I was doing and told by I was told by my friends and family and society. I decided to make the best of it and step up, as society says. So we decided to go to New Jersey and meet her family there. What a disaster. You're having a bad week. She moves in, all of a sudden, boom, she's off to Vegas doing single girl things. Now she's announcing she's pregnant after she was in Vegas. Maybe a paternity test is in order, and now you're off to see her family, and watch how this goes. As soon as we arrived at her mother's house, where we were staying for 10 days, I felt uncomfortable and unwanted. I was never told what a piece of work she was. Her mother began to insult me and attack me in very subtle ways. I quickly realized I had made a huge mistake, but the baby was coming. You did make a huge mistake, but dude, that doesn't mean you have to fucking marry her. Okay, I know this was years ago, but still, that old mindset, no. You saw her behavior changed immediately when she moved in with you. Then she's pregnant. Remember, this is the same girl that says she's on the pill? Clearly not. Clearly she wanted to lock in the deal. If indeed this is your child, she obviously went off the pill. She got pregnant to seal the deal because she knows you, that you're going to step up and be the man. And now her family are acting like assholes. These are all signs to get out of there. What you should do is find out if that kid is yours. Then if the kid is yours, okay, you have a responsibility. Doesn't mean you got to marry his mama. And if that kid isn't yours, adios. When we arrived back in Los Angeles, as soon as we got off the plane, I told Deborah that if we were to stand any chance of staying together, she needed to see a therapist, and I would join her. Oh, I'm sure that she took that real well. The first therapist we saw was only one session and completely took her side. So I spoke up, and the therapist told me that he didn't want to work with me, so we kept looking. Yeah, you do not take a one-sided therapist. The second therapist understood the situation, understood my position, and told me privately that Deborah's mother is a narcissist with borderline personality disorder, and that Deborah may have some of that as well. Well, the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. Bro, why are you with her? Asshole mother. She's being an asshole. Now suddenly she's pregnant, and you don't know if this is your kid or yet. No. I felt completely screwed. No, it was Deborah that was completely screwed. And disappointed in myself. After a while, the therapist said that she didn't need to work with me, but needed to work with Deborah. Deborah continued to see the therapist, and for a short while, I felt a little bit better about my situation. Key short while. Deborah gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, and I had a DNA test done shortly after without anybody's knowledge, and yes, I'm the father. Okay, you're the father. Doesn't mean you gotta marry the harpy. Before the birth, I told myself that I would leave her if the child wasn't mine. After my son was born, Deborah's mother began to meddle in our lives a lot, coming to LA every few months for long periods of time and driving both of us crazy. Then tell her to fucking leave. If she's bugging your girlfriend just as much as you, tell her to fucking leave. You're not going to come to my fucking house in my fucking town and show me disrespect. I don't give a shit if this is your grandchild or not. And if you're going to show disrespect, you can get the fuck out. Go down the street and stay at the fucking Days Inn. You're not staying here. I finally told Deborah that if she doesn't stop her mother from interfering in our lives, she will no longer be allowed in my home. I would just go to the mother anyway. Deborah didn't take that well and began having everyone both in my family and hers harass me, but I stood my ground and only allowed certain people in, but not her mother. So she got people in your life, your family, to give you a hard time. I would tell those people to fuck off. Who's loyalty to... Where's the fucking loyalty? After my son was about a year old, Deborah and I started to plan a wedding, but I told Deborah that I would only be a religious wedding and I would not sign any legal documents stating that we were married. Deborah agreed, or so I thought. Smack! I think I probably should smack him about 7 times at this point, but I said I was ready to smack this at the beginning of the video, but I forgot. Why are you marrying her? Are you out of your fucking mind? You can raise the kid together. I mean, you got to marry her. She's obviously a rotten person. We had the event, and when the day came, the person who was going to marry us said to me that he won't do the religious ceremonies unless I agreed to the legal process of marriage as well, so I declined, and we ended up only doing the religious ceremony. Okay, so you did a ceremony, but not officially recognized by the government. After that, her family began to team up with her mother and attack me relentlessly to a point where I refused to visit any of them, and this didn't sit well with Deborah, so she and her therapist asked me if I'd be willing to see a couples therapist, with which I relentlessly agreed to, knowing my red lines. Why the fuck did you marry her? And why? And they're all treating you like shit. God's sakes. Now, gentlemen, I know you may feel inclined to leave at this point. This guy learns his lesson. Don't get me wrong, and we're here to help him, but you know, you wish you could take the wisdom you have. You know, at 46 years old, I'm going to be 47 in a few months. God, if I could take the knowledge and experience I have and put it in my brain, you know, when I was like in my teenage years, oh, the different life I could have had. You know, but just, this guy was younger, didn't know, and he had he had no support. His family was giving him bad advice. He made a lot of bad decisions. The couples therapist understood the situation and pointed out that Deborah was an instigator in our relationship and that it was damaging. I then began to understand that we were on a bad path of no return and dreaded the thought of being a single father. So I decided to prolong the inevitable outcome of separation and began my journey to the art pill and started to strategize my escape from this horrible situation that I placed myself and my son in. Yes, good, hallelujah. And notice he takes accountability. He said, escape the horrible situation I placed myself and my son in. Good. Most people don't want to take accountability for fucking up. I met with my attorney, who told me that I would pay a lot of money on child support and I need to change things around and wait at least a year or two before moving forward. Good Lord, that's going to be a long year or two with fucking Deborah the Terrible there. I took the attorney's advice and began making the necessary changes so I wouldn't get hit so hard for child support. I stayed in the house for another year and a half as to not get hit with a child abandonment as I would make things worse. I had to deal with Deborah's constant abuse but enjoy my precious little man, watching him take his first steps and his words and so on. You didn't need to take her abuse, not for one day, not for 1 minute. Your little boy, believe it or not, is going to pick up on that shit. You know, okay, you're sticking around because you're listening to your lawyer, but don't put up with her fucking bullshit. In March of 2020, COVID hit us hard, and Deborah moved out a few days before the first lockdowns took effect, and I was relieved that she left. Hell yeah, can you imagine? You all remember that period of time, guys. Depending where you live, it was all different, you know? I would say a good solid 3 months where people pretty much weren't leaving their homes. Again, depending on where you live. Can you imagine him not being able to escape aside from his backyard if he was living with her? God almighty. We started out the separation as nicely as possible. I maintained a 50-50 schedule with my son, and I was able to pressure Deborah into agreeing to my choices in his life. I couldn't agree with her on child support. Shocker. But I kept making offers as my attorney told me to, but she would never counter. In 2022, Deborah filed for custody and support, and I lost some time with my son to 35-65 her way, and I won my child support as the judge couldn't justify her claim that I was making more money, as I was stating, in fact, it was less than my last offer to her. So now you're seeing your boy approximately 1/3 of the time. Now listen to this with this wonderful judge. This what I'm about to go through, guys, is a perfect example why more guys are not getting married, not doing relationships, etc., etc. However, the judge said he found me to be controlling and gave her Deborah, the decision-making rights on our son's school, doctors, etc. That didn't sit well with me, as she took my son out of a great private school and placed him in a filth of public schools in California. Are you fucking kidding me? You are gladly paying for your boy to be in a good private school, and she's putting him in the public school system. Don't get me wrong, there are some good public schools out there, but there's a lot of shitty ones, and I've been told California has a lot of shitty ones. When I was a little kid, grew up in California, I was born in California and lived until I was 9. My mom and dad had me in a nice private school, a Lutheran school, and it was a good place. And obviously they paid for that, and everybody has the budget for that. But the point is, this guy has the budget for, and she's doing that on purpose, just to spite him. Will her son be okay? I would imagine so, but still, she's taking away opportunities from the son, just to spite the father. That is not love. Says here, I've been fighting this for the past 4 years, and I'm slowly coming to a point where I may win back my right to make decisions for my son. My son is miserable in his current school, and Deborah knows this, but simply keeps him there because she knows it upsets me too, and the judges here in California are true haters of men. That's what I hear, and that ain't just California. Unbelievable. Well, bro, you're fighting for your boy. Keep on the fight. But this judge has no idea what I'm willing to do to protect my son. I spent six figures on attorneys, private investigators, and now I've gotten to the point that the minor's counsel has been assigned to my case, an attorney to represent my son. The judges here are following the law that believe all women, following the law of believe all women and screw all men as much as possible. I'm not surprised. I never married Deborah and was not hit with the Marvin's Law, which states that if you live with a woman for more than 2 years, it's considered as if you were married. This is with the help of a few good attorneys and a lot of records kept during those 4 years that we lived together. So if you live together for 4 years, but the rule is 2 years and you're considered married, okay. I don't know how you got through that one, but you said lots of records and good attorneys. Okay, good. Thank the Lord for that. But again, this backs up why the sudden change in attitude with her the second she moved in with you. Immediately, I got this guy, let the clock start ticking, because after a few years, this wealthy guy, I get half his shit. I promised my boy that I will never stop fighting for him, and he is still young, but is beginning to understand that I mean it. Last year, I was able to get 45-55 custody her way, and I was told by my attorney that the judge did that so I would not pay less in child support, as it's low already. Anything for the woman is what my attorney's words were. Shocker, but at least you've gone from saying him custody 35% of the time to 45% of the time. Let's keep moving that up to eventually, somehow, some way, you can get your son. Or more say in the matter. Going through this has opened my eyes to a lot about how I was raised and the lies I was fed. I'm greatly appreciative to you, SSM, and to others like you who are doing what they can to help others understand the reality of this world and the bias towards men. Guys, especially relationship guys, I have to tell you that in the last 4 years, I learned a lot about family law. I read lots of books, and I have a best friend who is an attorney that gave me his law books from his college days that tell all about the rules and regulations in California and some new laws that took effect in the last couple of years. Well, I'm sure those laws that took effect probably didn't help. Never move in with a woman. Here we go with his lessons here. Never move in with a woman, and if you do, keep it under 6 months and never put her name on the lease. I don't think guys are just going to have her in for 6 months. Usually, if they're moving her in or moving with her, they're planning more than 6 months, regardless of what you say. Never trust any prenup or postnup. They mean nothing in front of a judge. There are laws, and if one line in that prenup is conducting to the law, it's out. And most attorneys know this, but do it anyway so they can bill you later. I had a guy send me a story last week about prenups and postnups and all that, and yeah. If the judge doesn't think it was fair or that it was under duress or something, boom, goodbye. And I'm sure a lot of the attorneys know that, but are more than happy to get the pay for the putting up those establishing the prenups or postnups. As SSM says, spend years getting to know your girl, and even then, there's no need to get married. The laws are that messed up. Yes, spend years getting to know your girl, but don't have the blinders on because you're in the honeymoon period. Be realistic, okay? Really get to see who she is. Be question things. Be skeptical. You have to. Don't just let the clock tick for 2 years and say, okay, she's fine. No. You got to really pay attention. I know that you may think things may change for the better, but what I see and what changes they're getting worse. So for the time being, just don't do it. It's not worth the stress, cost, and time. Until the laws are truly fair and balanced, because they are not, Don't do it, guys. Don't move in. Don't get married. Don't do, you can do relationships if you have the self-control that you don't think, oh, she's different here, and go get married anyway, or move her in after like 6 months or something stupid like that. You don't need to. And I know a lot of guys do relationships. Great. Have a good time with a girl. Doesn't mean you got to live with her. Doesn't mean you got to marry her, And I might add, by you not having her move in with you and not proposing to her and making it clear from the beginning that you're just not interested in marriage, you want to have a good time and you enjoy her company, that's going to always keep her chasing after you. But you got to wear protection, because she may choose a different avenue to get you to commit. Right in the story, he says, I'm a fighter and I'm relentless, and that's what scares Deborah. Although she knows the law is on her side, I don't give in to the judge, and I have my attorneys to fight back and even kindly threaten the judge. There's a way to do that. Even judges have bosses, and so long as you educate yourself, you can prevail, but it will cost you. If you want things to change, then you have to fight. Otherwise, things will only get worse. Very true. So guys, either don't get involved with marriage and kids, or get ready to fight in the end and beyond. If I'm leaving any details out, please feel free to let me know. I have another court date in a little over a month, and I can update you if you'd like. Thank you, SSM, for your advice. It's valuable, but push the facts. Push the facts that without a fight on men's side, things will only get worse, not better. Thanks again, David. Well, David, that's a great story. You made a lot of mistakes when you're younger, but a lot of mistakes that so many guys have done before you, and sadly will do after you. But I'm with you. And bro, keep fighting, and let me know down the road. I said you have another big court date in a month. Let's hear about it, regardless of the situation. But do not give up on your boy. Again, the craziest thing is that you were providing an opportunity for him to go to a private school. Nice one. Nope. She yanked him right out of there. Probably she was thinking, well, I can get some of that money he puts towards the private school in my pocket for alimony, or not alimony, but child support or something, And I bet you what you pay in child support probably goes to her shoes and her freaking purses and bullshit like that. But anyhow, guys, what have we learned from this story? There's a lot here. Don't follow the narrative. Just because the narrative tells you need to get married and have a kid and the girl's always right and blah, blah, blah. No. Don't listen to those relatives. Don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It is likely that those relatives, their family members are giving you advice. They too are miserable in their marriages. And misery loves company. And by you going and doing what they say, it makes them feel less bad about their situation. Really. They don't always have your best interests at heart. You know who has your best interests at heart? This community. This community is here to help guys out. And we have newcomers coming every day, which is wonderful. And I got your back. So learn the laws and be aware that the laws are not on your side right now. It's not fair. It's unbalanced. Some places are worse than others. Like he said, he's in California, so I can't imagine that. But, okay, the situation is what it is, and he's fighting for his boy. So, guys, in the comment section, for you guys that have been through this in your own lives, custody battles, things like that, please comment away. Please take a moment out of your life to write into this guy, offer him words of support, encouragement, things that maybe he hasn't mentioned or thought of, or you don't know he's thought of, that maybe help him out. Especially you guys that have dealt with this in California. That will really be, I'm sure there's some California dudes in here, whether you want to admit it or not. Right away, let him know. So all you guys chime in. Let's help this guy, because a lot of times, guys, people give up because they just lose all hope. Give this guy some support and some hope so he can fight for his boy. And maybe somehow, some way, maybe by his ex doing something crazy or whatever, he can get full custody of his boy or something better, more part in the decision-making process with doctors and schools and things like that, because it's crazy. She takes him out of that private school, a good one, to put him in some shitty-ass school just to spite her husband. She probably looks at that boy and sees her husband and wants to punish him. It's crazy. So let's help this guy out. So anyhow, things to learn from this story, and also we want to help a brother out. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. I said that part. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.